Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Mindset Training. Thank you for allowing me to change the time because the platinum training was at the usual time. But we wanted, Alison and I were just speaking, we wanted to start doing more on money mindset training and blocks. So the mentor that I'm going to be showcasing today is Quazi. He's new to me and he is absolutely amazing at reverse engineering blocks that we have. But I wanted to pass it to Alison first because she wants to share a money mindset block that she's just been working through.
Wow, I can't wait to hear Quazi share and get all of this because I feel the momentum is like once you have a breakthrough, just submerge yourself with mindset training because it's like, okay, I'm so excited for this call. I had a huge breakthrough at Leslie's call this week. So I think it was Michelle Boersma just talking about, and they were just talking about UBT. Okay, we always hear UBT. We hear about it all the time. And I realized in my head every single time, this was the first time I recognized it. It's actually a gift that someone pointed out some language I was using on one of my posts. So I started to pay attention more to language I was using that day. So this would happen to be on a day I was acutely paying attention to my inner language, my inner dialogue, but also like what I speak out loud. And I noticed that right away when Michelle Boersma was talking about UBT in her team, how effortless it was, I right away went to, it's so hard. I said that out loud. I was like, it's so hard. And I realized right there, I've been saying it's so hard every single time I've heard one of the leaders talk about UBT. It's my block. I've always said in my head or out loud, it's so hard. And I corrected my language right then and there. And I nailed it. I said, it's easy. And right there, things started to shift right away. I feel it. I'm going to hit UBT. It's so easy. I know it's going to happen now because I actually had it was a huge shift in my relationship to it. Even like I used to almost freeze up when leaders would talk about this word. And I realized I had, when we realize that we hold, there's certain things, every time we hear it, we get a certain body reaction. And so pay attention to those reactions in your head and what you say out loud. They really matter. And if we can stop it in its tracks and switch the language to a positive, it's incredible. So I started also listening to this positive affirmation about money, abundance, and I'm compounding it now with this training. I'm so excited.
Oh, that was huge. That was absolutely huge. Thank you, Alison. And that's the kind of breakthrough we need to be sharing. You had that thing where you've always thought UBT was hard, but in deciding that and saying that out loud, yes, it is. But you get to change the narrative. And you said to me, it's blocking the whole team because if the leader thinks something is hard, then everyone underneath is going to be like, well, if the leader thinks it's hard, then it's hard. But now Alison's going to hit UBT every single week because it's absolutely an easy breezy thing. That cool, guys, by the way, if you haven't seen Leslie Zhang's training from Tuesday, oh my goodness, it was a blueprint.
The chunk that's on top first.
It was a blueprint of verbiage and of breaking down all these initiatives and how the leaders speak about UBT. So thank you, Al. That is an absolutely magical way to start this off. And it's very, very relevant to what Quazi is talking about here when we're talking about mirroring our relationship to money and changing our attitude towards it. So with everyone's permission, I'm going to be sharing the video. Get your notebooks out. I've got all my notes already. I'm going to be taking more because it blew my mind. But be ready to be amazed because it is literally fabulous. If I can just quickly share up my screen with you guys.
Hey, it's Tony Robbins.
Oh.
Listen, inflation's hitting everywhere. There's all this uncertainty in the world. So the question I have for you is...
Quazi here. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you how I changed my relationship with money, the toxic relationship that I had with money, by using this simple principle called the mirror principle, and how I used this cycle of the mirror to change my attitude towards money and inevitably manifest a 7-figure business, consistently doing over $100,000 every single month. And by the end of this video, I'm also going to share with you a key actionable step that you can use every single day to begin changing your own worldview, your own relationship with money. So guys, I'm super excited to get started with this video. Let's go right ahead and jump in. It's so crucial for us to understand this mirror principle because this is one of the fundamental ways in which reality creation works. And why that is because we always have an image and a reflection. And what I mean by that is there's always an image that we present with our internal world. And according to our internal world, our external world manifests itself. So for example, man comes with some blueprint or idea in mind, and then it manifests into reality via the actions that they take in accordance with that plan, in accordance with that blueprint, and also many other factors apart from just physical, laborious action, right? So I want to begin with a little story of mine and how I got started in this journey. If you've been following my journey, I was able to grow my business from absolute zero. I was stuck in this full-time job. I just didn't know what to do. And I went from that to starting up my own business, doing what I love every single day, enjoying coming to work every single day in a business that I love to do, and grew it from absolute zero to now doing consistently 7 figures. And all of this happened within the past 4 years. And when I started off, it was kind of hard. It was kind of rocky because all of my old beliefs were challenged. So throughout this channel, I share with you how I was able to reperspectivize my old beliefs and my old worldviews, and how doing that actually made this journey much easier. But not only that, it also made things happen effortlessly. They almost manifested themselves quite naturally. Okay, so when I got started off, I had a very toxic relationship with money. And I only know that because I look back at it in hindsight. And what I saw was that my relationship with money was toxic because of the things that I saw around me, the things that I heard from people around me, and what I was surrounded with. So I was watching movies where rich people were portrayed to be evil. So I always sort of believed that money was evil. And I grew up believing that. And I realize now that that belief actually kept me in my comfort zone. Okay. If I believed that money was evil, I wouldn't have to pursue it. I wouldn't have to go after it. I wouldn't have to make it. So I always told myself, you know what? I don't want to make too much money. I don't want to make a ton of money. I'll just stay comfortable where I am. Right. And this story, this narrative, when I was telling myself this, it made me play small. It made me become very stingy with my money. It made me become very closed off to spending. I would always buy the cheapest things. I wouldn't invest in myself. I wouldn't go on vacations, and I always deprived myself. And I saw when I was living like that, I also didn't make a lot of money. I was always stuck with a certain amount in my bank account. And I was also stuck in my business because of that belief. I couldn't branch out and do the things that I knew logically I needed to do. So as soon as that belief, that worldview changed, and it slowly started to change, it didn't change overnight, right? As soon as that started to change, opportunities started to come in my worldview, and I had to make uncomfortable decisions. I had to face my old beliefs and demons and make the leap, invest in it, try out different strategies. And you know what? Some of those strategies didn't yield a direct result. But overall, I'm very happy with the decisions that I made, because even the ones that didn't yield a direct result still allowed me to learn crucial lessons and collect data to make a real conclusion. So I know that's a wordy way of saying it all, but what I'm really trying to say is, as my worldview changed, as my attitude towards money changed, as my relationship towards money changed, more of it came into my life. How did this happen? How did I go from believing that money was evil and toxic to believing that money is our birthright, that you were supposed to be wealthy? Then what are the characteristics of that? How do you even know that you've changed that worldview? That's exactly what I'm going to share here with this mirror cycle. So I want you to pay very, very close attention to this, because once we talk about the mirror cycle, some things won't make sense to you, but other things will. And what we're going to do by the end of it is I'm going to give you something actionable you can begin to use every single day, so you can see this reflection, this change starting to happen. And you'll only be able to tell that a change has happened only when you look back in hindsight of what you used to be like. Let's begin with this mirror cycle and how our reality and our attitude is formed in the first place. So going back 5 to 8 years ago, when I grew up and saw all of this negative stimulus, I also saw how my dad was with money, how he would make decisions with money. And he was very conservative with money. He liked to save up a ton of money in case something happened. And he was this way because he saw his dad grow up and just be really reckless and careless with money. So both of those attitudes are still coming from a place of scarcity. My grandpa's relationship with money was kind of like, just give it away. So he had little respect towards money. And my dad had just like a idolization of money, because when he grew up, he had tough circumstances because of the decisions my grandpa made with money. And that left his family in lots of debt. And he had to work really hard to make money to support his whole family. So massive respect for him for doing that. But I understand why he was the way he was and what he believed. But because I was able to see both of those, I can now see that, somewhere between those, there's a healthy balance that allows you to bring in an abundance of money into your life while still enjoy it and have it be a win-win. So that's what I want possible for you. Be able to enjoy your money without needing to hold on to it. That's the sweet spot that we want to get to. Okay. So let's understand why my negative attitude towards money came in the first place. What happens with us is in our realities, we begin to observe stimulus around us through our senses. When I watched those movies, when I listened to my dad and I saw his actions, I started to form my own attitude by giving attention to all of these things, by observing all of these things, okay? By the faculty of my observation, by the faculty of my attention, I collected this stimulus. And then when I heard him talk about money, people around me talk about money, then I started to form an attitude, okay? Form attitude. When we form an attitude towards something, we begin to develop beliefs about it. We start to have a view about it. And over time, as we keep sticking with this attitude, it becomes ingrained in our subconscious mind. Without even thinking about it, we act in accordance with that belief. So for example, if I believe that money was scarce, I'm not going to want to spend. So when I take the action of not spending from a place of scarcity, then that scarcity actually gets reinforced. Okay, so this attitude gets strengthened. So what I want you to know is when we begin to give attention to things which we've formed an attitude about, then that attention begins to strengthen that attitude. It's going to make sense as we go on, but for now, I just want you to accept that. So I began giving attention to money is scarce, money is evil, and began this scarce relationship with money. By giving it attention, I started to form an attitude towards it. If you accept the premise that our internal world creates our external world, we form an image in our internal world with this attitude, then this formation of attitude is creating the image in the mirror of reality. So this mirror has two sides. If I form an attitude and create an image, it slowly begins to reflect in reality. The difference of the mirror of reality versus any other normal mirror is this reality mirror, the things that you're seeing in your external world, begins to get reflected with a slight delay. So if you can imagine a mirror where I'm standing in front of, if I were to raise my hand, it would take a little bit of time in the mirror of reality for its hand, the reflection's hand, to raise. And that is because of the inert quality of matter. I can't manifest my thoughts instantly unless I have the Messiah's mastery of intention, right? So with us, it takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of time. Time is the only factor that allows something to manifest from absolute imagination. So I stick with my imagination for long enough. I power it up with my actions as well to speed up that process. So my mindset combined with my actions speeds up this whole process. Eventually, over time, it manifests as a physical reality. So for example, if I think about a business and I think about making money and I think about how good making money is and I live from that end of what life would look like if I were to make money, and I keep acting in accordance with that. Maybe I start up a YouTube channel, I start up a website, I take some action, I reach out to some people. Over time, the reflection starts to form. Over time, inevitably, it becomes a business. So whatever you persist at for long enough with the right attitude, there is no other choice but for it to manifest. The problem is we can't keep this attitude up for long enough. So the mirror starts to reflect the things that are undesirable. This is what Neville Goddard talks about, right? The law of assumption, or operating from the end state, or staying with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I actually talked about this in another video. I would recommend for you to check that out. It will nicely complement this video. I'll leave the link for that in the description below. What we do is we give attention to certain stimulus around us. When we hear things from other people, initially we form our attitude. So when we form our attitude, we're forming the internal image. Once this internal image begins to form and it gets strengthened, what happens is reality reflects it. Reflection formed. So that is the third step. So now what happens is once the reflection forms and we see our outer reality, we can only pay attention to that, right? So when we begin to see originally in our lives, our parents being certain ways, and we give attention to that, then that forms our attitude. When we see our parents being scarce with money and having a fear of money and other people on TV and people telling you that you shouldn't start a business, then we attend to that. It forms our attitude. And as the attitude gets strengthened, the image gets stronger. As the image gets stronger, it starts to form this reflection with a delay, right? So between step 2 and step 3, there's a delay. And after this reflection gets formed, your reality starts to show you more proof that money is indeed scarce. It is indeed hard to start a business. Yes, indeed, every single business fails. So therefore you will fail too. And that's exactly what starts to happen. When that happens, you have nothing else to look to but your reality, right? So then you attend to that even, and that strengthens your attitude further. So reality only shows you what you truly want to see, okay? When we envision failure, our fear of failure, our fear of losing is so much stronger than our love for winning, okay? Our fears are stronger than our desires. If your feeling of the wish fulfilled were as strong as your fear of loss, then that's exactly what would happen. That's exactly what you would ascend to rather than descending to the level of your fears. So to give you an example, people are more afraid of losing what they have and losing and failing at the endeavors that they start than their desire for winning is, than their desire for succeeding at it is. And because of that, the image for that gets stronger and stronger. So combined with our thoughts and feelings, when they come together, we present this strong image to the mirror, okay? So your attention initially forms this attitude because your thoughts and feelings combine, which forms the mirror's image, which then gets reflected with a delay. There is a delta T here. And as you hold this belief, this thought and feeling for long enough, reality starts to show you more and more scarcity, which happened in my case, right? When I started to believe money was scarce, I was seeing more and more ways in which money was scarce. I was more and more afraid to start up a business. And then you start to see more and more people with failed businesses. You start to hear more and more friends discouraging you from starting up a business. So now the question becomes, how do we overcome this? What is the way in which we can become a conscious creator of our lives? And this is how. We take this same mirror, and what we do is we reverse the steps. This 1, 2, 3 is the current cycle for most. In order for me to go from that person who believes that it's hard to succeed in business, now is not the time, a recession is coming, the pandemic has happened, all of these beliefs, in order for me to form a new attitude and a new world view, I must reverse this cycle. How I do that is instead of paying so much attention to my current state of reality, I turn my attention inwards. Instead of having my attention outwards to what's going wrong, I let that be and simply turn inwards to what I want to create. So now the first step becomes I choose consciously which attitude I want. I want to cultivate the attitude that money is abundant. And I totally understand. It's going to be so hard. You're not going to believe it at first. It's so difficult. Your whole life, you've been seeing that money is scarce. But let's just stick with it for a second. Let's just assume that money is not scarce. When we begin to even take the minutest assumption and we visualize and we feel that it's happened, that we have that business that we want, that we're making the kind of money that we want, the law of the mirror is still in operation. The thoughts and feelings have come together. You've thought of money being abundant, and you felt money being abundant, and you've seen yourself at your ideal situation. As soon as even the slightest sliver of that happens, reality begins to reflect that. even though it's not visible right now because the reflection is so minute. So step 2 happens automatically. Now, interestingly, you must begin to attend to everything that corresponds with the image that you've chosen. Now we're attending to everything that corresponds with that image that we've chosen. I look at all of the proof that corresponds with why will I be able to succeed? So instead of asking, will I be able to succeed? Ask, why will I be able to succeed? Where is the proof that I will be able to succeed? The quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask. Please see the place that this question is coming from. It is coming from the fundamental assumption that I will be successful. Why? What's the proof that I will be? Look, when I put up this video, some people actually liked it. Some people commented on it. Okay, that's good. That means something is working. Look, someone showed interest in my program. Someone inquired about it. Someone reached out to me. So whatever worldview you choose, you have to begin to strengthen it by attending to what is corresponding to it and ignoring. And by ignoring, I don't mean suppressing. I mean, simply let that current reality be because it's dissipating. So this is how I did it. When I looked at months when I got clients, initially, when I had the old worldview, I was looking at, oh man, if I got 3 more clients, I would have made more money. So now I'm looking at what I didn't have rather than what I did, rather than the 3 clients that I did have. So when I shifted my perspective to looking at what do I have? Look, I am here today and everything is going well. I am alive and healthy. Everything's going well. That means I will be successful. Condition yourself to become biased. The best creators of their lives are incredibly biased. And that took me from barely making 5K a month in my business to growing into 20K a month to eventually growing to 100K a month and even 200K a month, right? So now I have a consistently 7-figure generating machine and I pretty much have to only work 4 hours a week in the business. The rest of the time I can spend working on the business and doing what I want. And that is 100% possible for you too, if you wanted it. You just have to look for proof of why it is possible and ask the right questions. I want to share with you one key that you must remember and begin to implement every single day. And that key is simply, number 1, choose the attitude, choose image that you want to see happen in your life. And that begins with your worldview. If you are wanting to start up a business and be successful in it, then choose the attitude that it is easy to become successful in business. There is enough to go around for everybody. Just because someone else is being successful doesn't mean that I won't be because of the law of competition. No, there is enough to go to everyone. The sun shines equally on all of us. So choose the image that you want. And number 2, look for every tiny ounce of proof that things are going your way. Things are corresponding to that image. Attention to proof. Look for confirmation. So every single day, just from now on, as you're watching this video, just form one image that will allow you to succeed in the area of your life that you want to succeed in. And every single day, what I want you to do is journal 3 instances, 3 things that you've noticed have gone according to that image. We have to consciously choose the attitude we want to form first. Money is abundant. Reality has no choice but to reflect it if it truly is sincerely with thought and feeling. And then you'll start to see more and more proof. And as you start to confirm these proofs to corresponding with the image that you formed, there is more proof. The reflection starts to get stronger and stronger. Over time, you have no choice but to see all the abundance around you. So guys, with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. I would highly recommend that you.
Okay. It is, it's advanced stuff, but put a 1 if bits of that made sense to you or if that kind of resonated with you. Amazing. Okay, good. Because when I heard this, it's like, it's a map for reverse engineering our beliefs. So the way that I took it is we're literally going step 3, step 2, and then back to step 1. So we're going to, hold on a second. Step 2 becomes step 1. So we form the attitude, it starts to reflect, and then we hold our attention on the things that we want. So we literally reverse engineer. What we usually do is have the attention. Oh, this is how it is. We're all brought up like that. And then we form an attitude that creates the mirror of that in our lives. And it's like, oh, well, this is reality. But how empowering to know that we can literally go the other way with this, that we get to decide by holding on to our attention and being focusing. I love that. I want us all to practice this every day. 3 things that are proof that things are going our way. I had a call with a friend on my team the other day, and she said, you know, it's going, I'm stressed. It's not going very well. I got 2 new customers this month. And I was like, hold up. You got 2 new customers this month? And you're not selling. This is a celebration. That's on the list. 2 new customers. These 2 new customers could be new brand partners. You have no idea. So, you know, I'd love for anyone who wants to share something that they learned about this and to brainstorm, because, you know, I'm going to put the video in the group so you can look back at this. I took pages of notes myself, but I would love if anyone wants to put up their hand and share on this, because this is gold. This is gold in terms of how we can reverse engineer everything. And it changed everything for me. So now I do it the other way around. Like, I only think about the Alice that I'm becoming. I don't look at my failures. I don't push. If things don't work out, I let it go very quickly. I accept that things are working out best case scenario for me now. The word that came to mind today for me was patience. Stop trying to push and force things, because that's going against the grain, right? But if we hold and we wait for all the things to come in that are resembling this new mirror that we're creating, I think a really important part of the teaching here as well was that idea that there is a delay. So as we start to step into this new person that we want to become, it won't be instant. There'll be little things, if we're very astute and aware. You know, it could be a butterfly coming by. I see that as like, I'm like, oh, what a blessing. It's like a thing for me. But eventually everything is going to start to change and morph around you. So it's that reverse engineering that I wanted to share. Sorry, there are some people trying to come in now. But I wanted to go over, unless anyone wants to say anything now or just share anything that they got from that. Otherwise, I want to cover. I know a lot of people here are really good at this as well, and learning it and really embodying this idea of using the laws for our benefit. But this is how Quazi did it. You know, he just literally reverse engineered, and he picked apart what all the masters were doing. And that's what his videos do. He goes through Napoleon Hill a tiny bit at a time on a video, and I'm like, this is genius. Yes, exactly, Alison. It's like, focus on the good. Please, for goodness sake, focus on the good. Shara, please unmute yourself, my love. Do you have your hand up? Did you want to? Oh,
was it me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear. Okay. I think that like society has taught us to always like look for problems, right? Because we're like so used to like trying to fix things all the time. And especially like in corporate America, it's just like, oh, we need you to do it this way. And so if you don't do it that way and you don't follow suit, then we got to correct you, you know? So like we've grown up with the school systems and the corporate America to look for problems. And then so now when we go home, we do that naturally all by ourselves. And it's really, really sad, because now when we go to bed, we're like, okay, what's wrong with me? What's the problem? And we're not trained to focus on what's right with me. How can I do better? You know, they say failing is bad, you know, in school, but failing is such a blessing. Like, it's a good thing, you know? So they want to punish us when we do wrong. And I am so still working on myself, where like, I'm always beating myself up. I'm always telling myself, oh, you should have done this better. And you know, it's not good enough. And people always tell me like, you don't see everything around you that's going right. Like, you're so focused on the problem. And like, I hate to admit that, but I have to say that out loud, because I get my power back. You know, I can be such a pessimist, and I'm always like looking at the problem and everything, because I want to solve and fix and be perfect. But progression is perfection. You know, I think you had a call that talked about a little bit about that. So I think this is profound. I mean, it's some of the things that we already know, but it's just nice to like kind of like get it like back to you, and now it's time to feel uncomfortable, right? To be like, oh, like even me, like telling myself like, you're beautiful in the morning, like looking at myself in the mirror, like, that even feels weird because it's like, wait, this is awkward and uncomfortable, but it's time that we start to feel uncomfortable every single day, telling ourselves that, you know, you are worthy, like a butterfly is coming. That's a sign that, like, I get goosebumps when you say that, you know, because butterflies are my thing. Like, I see that, I'm like, God is with me, you know, like everything's working out. Like any little tiny mundane thing, I think, was it Jim Rohn that said, the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. And so we can just start to focus on the things that we can right now and feel comfortable. Eventually we're gonna be like these super huge positive people like Tony Robbins, and it starts with the things like the little butterfly. So I love this call. Thank you.
Oh, Sarah, you're so wonderful. Oh my goodness. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful share. And exactly. And a lot of us have, I was like you, when I started, I was the eternal pessimist. I was like, nothing works out. I'm always going to be poor. Why? It's not going to be me. And it literally, it's unconditioning all of that. It's a whole process. And I watch you do this every day. I'm so proud of you. And I see all the blessings in your life too, but as us, it is difficult sometimes. So it's retraining ourselves to look at that, because we've been literally reverse engineered the wrong way to keep us small. And I also love Rhiannon's comment, because Rhiannon's been on vacation and she's been sending me all these pictures of wealth. And she's like, I'm in Miami. It's so wealthy. I feel surrounded by wealth. I'm wealthy. And I'm like, yes, embody that, embody that. That's exactly where we need to go. And it's just, yes, Sarah, that was really amazing. And it's so cool how you're becoming more aware of what you're doing. Because the first step is being like, wait, why am I doing that to myself? Like, you are beautiful. This is something we need to tell ourselves. And it is weird. It almost feels like we're lying to ourselves at the beginning when we're doing these things. But it's easier to just accept the positive things, like what's going well for you today, to do that. And exactly, imagination, it's all about that. And then Sandra, you put a beautiful thing in the chat about the Bible. Faith, we live by faith, but not by sight. It's all plainly written. We have to live in faith. Faith is even stronger than belief, because faith is the unknown. Belief is what is known. We believe in more than what is known. Like, this is unlimited here. So this is very deep stuff that we're talking about here. This isn't like, you know, general MLM, like let's learn. This is deep stuff, because this is more important. When we can establish these inner skills, these life skills, these new ways of thinking and believing and seeing, everything else will come more easily, because the rest we can learn. But this is literally the personal development. When you hear me and Eric and Allison bang on about personal development, this is what I'm talking about. This is the stuff. If we're not practicing this every single day and completely reinventing ourselves, we'll get stuck. Be it an executive, director, diamond, we can't go higher until we level up in ourselves. And this is what I listen to on the daily, things like this, so that I can get to those new levels. And we're blessed because Mr. Eric Mission, his workout gear, is here to shed some profound insight onto this. So please unmute yourself. Oh, you're going to play tennis. Oh.
Alice, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, as some of you know, I love the game of tennis. I've been playing tennis for going on 36 years now, I think. I've been playing since I've been a young little lad. I love this game. You know, this game, it's such a fun game, but it teaches you so much about life. And so I wanted to share with everyone my tennis analogy. You want to hear it? Okay, so this is a tennis racket. Now, the interesting thing here about this tennis racket is, depending on where you strike the ball on this racket, you're going to get a very, very different result. Okay, so the middle part of this racket right here is what's known as the sweet spot. Okay, and when you're striking the ball, if you're hitting a forehand or a backhand or a volley at the net, you're going to feel the difference when you hit that ball on this sweet spot. The reason they call it the sweet spot is because this is where you generate the most power in the shot. It's right here in the middle of the racket. And so the goal is to always try to hit as close to this sweet spot as possible. Now, if you hit towards these edges here, you're going to definitely feel the difference as well. You're going to lose power and you're going to lose control of the shot. So how does that apply to what we're talking about here? Did you hear him say the words sweet spot in his little talk? Okay, so what's the key? The key is to try to operate right here in the middle when it comes to our relationship with money, with success, and with abundance. Okay, if we operate on the fringes here, we're going to have a problem. We're going to lose power. We're going to lose control. Okay, and so what happens is a lot of us are operating on the fringes here. So did you hear how he said it's like between his father and his grandfather, there were two different extremes. Okay, so a lot of us, because we form realities based on assumptions, they're so far, we go to the other end of the extreme. Like we saw, we had an uncle or a parent just give all money away, reckless with money, and really not having that's not a healthy relationship either. And then we saw our parent or another relative or some close friend, like so tight, holding on to it. And again, both of those situations are operating from a place of scarcity. So it's like I can hit this side of the racket and it would be not in the sweet spot, or this side of the racket and it would be not in the sweet spot. I want to be right here, guys. Okay. So how does this relate? The relation is developing a healthy relationship with money. Okay. And that means operating in the middle. Okay. It means respecting it, and not being frivolous with it, putting it to good use so that it can create even more abundance and wealth and money. And then also not holding on to it so tightly that we are afraid to invest it in the right places or even spend it when necessary. Do you guys understand that? So it's not going to the outer edges of extremes. And so what happens is, because a lot of times we end up going to extremes when we feel a very negative emotion towards something, or even it could happen with a very positive emotion as well. We swing that pendulum all the way to the edge to try to compensate. Like we had a parent that held so tightly onto money. Now we're just going to spend it recklessly and be frivolous because that's our way of rebelling against that paradigm that we were taught. Or it's the opposite. Parent was reckless. We're going to go opposite end. Guys, what I'm saying is find the sweet spot right here in the middle of the racket. Okay, that's where you're going to generate the most power. So Alice, that was my little share for today. I'm going to go back to playing my game and I hope all of you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for this call. It's awesome.
Thank you, Eric. So beautifully put. I love your analogies. Enjoy tennis. Oh my goodness. Exactly, the sweet spot. It's about finding that sweet spot in ourselves. And I want to, recap his final words right now because I just thought they were brilliant. The best creators of their lives are incredibly biased. Incredibly biased. I mean, when I spend time with people who are at the top of their game, they know who they are. There is no question as to their brilliance, and they know it. They're so biased towards the outcome of their life where they're meant to be. There isn't a single moment for doubt. How much % of the time are we doubting as opposed to embodying? We can really think about that. How much time are we, oh, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I'm not good. How much time do we spend doing that? Because people at the top of the game simply do not. So we must choose the attitude and the image we want to be in the world. It's easy to be successful here. There is enough for everyone. I love it. It's easy. It's easy. It's easy. It's easy. You drill it in until it becomes second nature, because the only reason we think it's not easy is because we've spent so much time drilling that into us, right? And then 2, look for every tiny ounce of proof everything is going your way. The smallest thing, and pay attention to that proof. And this is something that I've started doing since I read this. Journal 3 things a day, easy, 3 things a day, right? 3 things a day that have gone according to that image of who you want to be. Because the more we write things down, when you write things down, they're 42% more likely to happen statistically. We want to be journaling. Reality has no choice but to represent the thoughts and feelings of that structure. Reality just bends to our will. It's just we're doing it unconsciously. We're doing it the way that doesn't serve us without even realizing it. So our external world is showing to us, oh, well, this is how I was told it was going to be, and therefore this is what it is. But what if the greatest secret that was ever hidden is that we actually get to bend that to our will, because that is our birthright. That is the most powerful thing that I've ever learned in all of my days doing this. And this man, Quazi, just breaks it down in a different way that some people might find easier. There's Abraham Hicks, there's a lot of different teachings on this. But we are literally in decision and in control of what the outcome will be. So sit and if in something I do, if I'm finding it difficult, is I self-soothe. I talk to myself kindly. I rant to myself like a crazy person, like, Alice, today went so well. I'm so lucky for everything I have. I'm so wonderful. I'm really good at this. I have the best friends. Oh my goodness, the sun shines out. And I do that until I feel good. And that becomes one of my things. I journal that down. Oh my goodness, like I'm so lucky. Like I'm so lucky for everything, even if something bad happens in that day. And I wanted to just quickly note, we can only pay attention now, and then reality begins to match with the idea and shows you evidence of your thought, which strengthens the thought more. So it's literally, this is just a mindset call of getting in control of what thoughts you allow to pervade, right? This is, I'm telling you, you get to control that. And living on the beach, yeah, get to an environment that makes you feel good. Me and Sandra and I are lucky because I decided I want to feel good, therefore I'm going to be there. But is there anything else that anyone wants to share on this? I really highly recommend you go through Quazi's other videos because he breaks down even more. He has so much good stuff to say, and he's just a prime example of a guy who was just like most of us were before we started this, in victim, in lack, worrying, like, oh my goodness, how could I ever be the next Seema? This is impossible. And now, after doing this for 2.5 years, from that point, I'm now like, I'm definitely the next Seema and above that. There's nothing going to stop me. And you're all going to get to that stage when we practice this. This is just me sharing what I practice every single day. No one is more special. He said that the sun shines on all of us the same. It's how we use the time that's allotted to us. It's how we are grateful for the small things in our life until we can get to that point. But we have to, thank you, babe. We have to just believe in ourselves so much, because we're the only one that we truly have. And I just wanted to, I'm really glad that Alison got to open this call with a mindset that she had today, because that's really key. Being aware when things are presented to go, oh, that's where I was actually blocking myself. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's very, very powerful stuff. And if we can all just get super honest where we're holding ourselves back, if we block, our team under us is blocked the same way. Speed of the leader. So we need to always be working through our blocks. Otherwise, our team is going to think the same thing as us. Alison shared, she thought UBT was hard. She always did. And therefore her whole team down were like, UBT is really hard. Now she's like, UBT is easy. And I'm like, yeah, it is, girl. We're going to hit 6 a week. Yes, we are, because that's what all the other teams do. So just thank you all for showing up and being here, and for everyone who shared, and for just allowing me to share these things with you, because I just want to share with you the things that have really helped me get to where I am and knowing where I'm going to go. And we're all going to go there if we can simply reverse engineer the patterns that we've been brought up with and use them to our advantage. Completely reinvent those patterns so that we are creating consciously instead of old beliefs creating our life for us, because we are not living in that paradigm here with Purium. That's not happening. We're all going to be winners. So thank you all so much for meeting me and taking the time out and showing up for yourselves. Like, you're all so incredibly precious, and I'm so proud of all of you. You're like amazing. And if any of you are going to be on the platinum training in 2 hours, I'll see you there. And just so much love, and just be really kind to yourselves today. Be really gentle on yourself. Stop pushing so hard and just get into the flow with who you are. Your birthright, he said it, your birthright is abundance. We are meant to be wealthy in all areas. So do whatever it takes to undo that, the lies that you are telling yourself, and just claim that, because I want it for everyone. Have an amazing day. I love you all so much. Let's get it.